Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of The Smart 7 is sponsored by Vodafone Business in partnership with Samsung. If you're running a business, any kind of business, you're probably spending some time thinking about AI, what to do, how much to use it, and how to even get started. The answer could be in your pocket. The new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, powered by Vodafone Business's reliable, award-winning network, will help you unleash your productivity through brilliant built-in Galaxy AI. For example, Note Assist will automatically correct, fix the spelling, formatting and organise your meeting notes so you can stay tuned into the session without any worry. Even if you're adept at AI, you might want to avoid using it in some situations, as an Irish MEP's gone viral this week for using AI to write a letter to EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. It was sent with good intentions, but it included a made-up story and lyrics from Swedish House Mafia. Getting back to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, to take advantage of all the features and change the way you do business, you'll need a Samsung account and a network connection. To find out more, search Vodafone Business Samsung, and for network verification, go to vodafone.co.uk/network. On today's Smart 7, Labour pledges to get Britain battle ready, Istanbul talks end in stalemate, and much more. It's Tuesday, 3rd of June, it's World Bicycle Day, and happy birthday, Michelle Keegan.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
The government pledged on Monday to create a British army that is 10 times more lethal, as it unveiled the details of its defence spending review. The review will see the budget for defence increase to 2.5% of GDP by 2027, and key commitments unveiled included increasing military reserves, ordering new F-35s, and committing to building a new fleet of nuclear submarines. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says Britain needs to be battle-ready in a world that has changed.
We are moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready.
The 144-page review also focuses on Russia as a primary threat, commits to NATO first as the strategic priority, and commits to learning from Ukrainian innovation when it comes to weapons like drones. Lord Dannett, who is the former head of the British Army, wasn't impressed by the timeline, however.
And this rather vague commitment to move to 3% by the end of the next Parliament, 2034, I mean, it just doesn't stack up. It's a little bit like saying in 1938 to Adolf Hitler, please don't attack us till 1946, because we're not going to be ready.
Russian and Ukrainian delegations met in Istanbul on Monday for a second round of peace talks, but there was no sign of a serious breakthrough or progress on a ceasefire. Turkish President Erdogan was sounding positive about the process, however.
Today, the Russian and Ukrainian delegations came together under the chairmanship of Hakan Fidan. It was a very significant meeting, and as a result, the prisoner exchange, which was previously limited to 1,000 prisoners each, has now exceeded that number.
While the prisoner release will be seen as good news, Ukraine is still determined to recover the almost 400 Ukrainian children that have been abducted by Russian forces. Ukrainian President Zelensky was in Vilnius for a NATO meeting ahead of this month's summit in the Netherlands. He was determined that neither Ukraine nor its allies would give any ground on Putin's demands.
The aggressor must not receive any reward for war. Putin must get nothing that would justify his aggression. Any reward would only show him that war pays off.
Monday morning saw 3 more people killed in Gaza as they headed to collect food from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Dozens more were injured in the same location in southern Gaza where 30 people were killed on Sunday. The UN has heavily criticised the new food distribution system, which they say violates humanitarian principles and is completely inadequate when 2 million people are facing starvation. To draw attention to the plight of Palestinians, a number of activists have set sail in a flotilla packed with aid aimed at breaking the Israeli blockade. The crew include Game of Thrones actor Liam Cunningham and climate activist Greta Thunberg, and it could take up to a week to arrive.
We are doing this because no matter what odds we are against, we have to keep trying, because the moment we stop trying is when we lose our humanity.
Final counting in the Polish presidential election finished on Monday morning, and the results delivered a shock to the European Union. With exit polls at one point predicting wins for both candidates, in the end it was the Conservative historian and former amateur boxer Karol Nawrocki who won. His victory is an upset for the government of Donald Tusk, and Nawrocki is a big fan of another Donald, US President Trump. His victory was greeted with delight by far-right leaders, including Hungary's Viktor Orban and French opposition leader Marine Le Pen. Political analyst Krzysztof Izdebski says his win will make life complicated in Europe.
So Nawrocki is definitely pro-Trump. He was obviously showing it during the electoral campaign. He is, I would say, in the line, even maybe more radical in his thoughts about the European Union than Meloni, but stands somewhere next to Orban. So also it's a very difficult situation for the European Union and for the model of the European Union.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, Armando celebrates 20 years of the thick of it and bad news for the Brits in France. Right after this. Hey, it's Jamie East here, and today's episode of the Smart 7 is sponsored by Vodafone Business in partnership with Samsung. When you're running your own business, pretty much anywhere can be your office. The spare room, the back garden, or, even the local cafe. And with the power of Vodafone Business's reliable award-winning network, combined with the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, there's no limit to what you can do pretty much anywhere. For example, if you're working and caffeinating at the same time, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra will allow you to seamlessly complete actions across a whole range of apps to find relevant information and send it where it needs to go. It can even summarise YouTube videos for you and save it to Samsung text notes. That's the power of AI in your pocket. Even if you're adept at AI, you might want to avoid using it in some situations, as an Irish MEP's gone viral this week for using AI to write a letter to EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. It was sent with good intentions, but it included a made-up story and lyrics from Swedish House Mafia. And getting back to Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, to take advantage of all the features and change the way you do business, you'll need a Samsung account and a network connection. And if you're using the seamless action across apps, it's compatible with selected languages only. You'll also need a Google account login, and the availability of search functions may vary by country, language and device. To find out more, search Vodafone Business Samsung, and for network verification, go to vodafone.co.uk/network. Welcome back. Monday saw the last British hopes at the French Open extinguished. Cameron Norrie and Jack Draper both made it to the fourth round of the competition, which broke records in itself, and it was a career best for both men. However, it was a tough day on the clay courts, with Norrie losing in straight sets to Novak Djokovic, who celebrated his 100th win at the tournament. Fifth seed Jack Draper came up against the unseeded Alexander Bublik, but after Draper took the first set, things unravelled and the game slipped away from the Brit. Bublik made history as the first Kazakhstani to make a quarter-final of a Grand Slam tournament, and he was delighted.
You know, sometimes in life there's only one chance, and I had a feeling that was mine, and I couldn't let it slip. So, I mean, standing here is the best moment of my life. Period.
Armando Iannucci is a certified genius of satirical TV. He co-created Alan Partridge. He was behind The Thick of It, and he also created the HBO hit starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Veep. Iannucci picked up 2 Emmys for his work as writer and showrunner on Veep, but he's still very fond of his Westminster political satire, The Thick of It. That saw 4 series, with Peter Capaldi brilliant as the scorching Malcolm Tucker. It's been 20 years since the show first launched, and Armando was reminiscing about how even the most implausible plotlines seem to mirror real life.
Sometimes we would come up with stories that were like we had invented them, and we thought, let's push it as stupidly as we can. And then a couple of weeks later, someone from Whitehall would say, how did you find out about that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We thought we'd kept that very quiet. What? That's true.
These days, we're all worried about AI and robots, so it seems like the perfect moment for the follow-up to 2022's horror hit Megan. If you weren't paying attention, it was the story of an AI-powered doll that came to life and was somewhat overzealous in protecting the small child in her charge. Now, the story has been rebooted, and much like the original Terminator ended up having to battle the newer model, Megan is out of retirement and facing new threat Amelia. That stands for Autonomous Military Engagement Logistics and Infiltration Android. In case you were wondering, Megan 2.0 hit cinemas at the end of June.
Yes, it's me. What a shock, etc. My path to personal growth has been paved with disappointment. I think we can agree that my biggest mistake was that I cared too much. Our
Actually, the biggest mistake you made was murdering 4 people and a dog.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Did you know that foreign investors are quietly funding lawsuits in American courts through a practice called third-party litigation funding? Shadowy overseas funders are paying to sue American companies in our courts, and they don't pay a dime in U.S. taxes if there is an award or settlement. They profit tax-free from our legal system, while U.S. companies are tied up in court, and American families pay the price, to the tune of $5,000 a year. But there is a solution. A new proposal before Congress would close this loophole and ensure these foreign investors pay taxes, just like the actual plaintiffs have to. It's a common-sense move that discourages frivolous and abusive lawsuits and redirects resources back into American jobs, innovation, and growth. Only President Trump and congressional Republicans can deliver this win for America and hold these foreign investors accountable. Contact your lawmakers today and demand they take a stand to end foreign-funded litigation abuse.